Shalom. I want to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutation to the hopefully elect. And it's pushing this word in the four corners, the highways and byways. Once again, all praises, glory, and honor is due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makar Kodash. Alright? Hey, this brother Zakaria here with another lesson. And this lesson gonna be based on a question. Why is there so much prostitution in the quote-unquote Latino community? Alright? And the simple answer to that question is because of the curses that is on the Israelite women. Alright? The so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American women, Tainos, whatever you want to call them, are the Israelite women. All right. And everywhere you go, you will see, Latino women prostituting, especially on this hemisphere. All right, talking about North, Central, and South America, right? And the Caribbeans, right? There are scores of, Latino women just prostituting, right? And also the so-called black woman. Now, I'm not saying this is like exclusive to, prostitution is exclusive to, black and Latino women, but, you would primarily see them doing it, right? And like I said, it is because of the curses, right? So, with no further ado, right, let me get into some precept. Deuteronomy actually, let me just read it on the phone. Yep. This is Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, or of the Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I commanded thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." Right? And this is a message to the Israelites. Right? Verse 16, it says, "Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the fields." Right? Cursed shalt thou be in the city and in the fields. And what's one of those curses? This is Amos 7, verse 17. It says, "Therefore thus said the Lord, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city." Right? So a lot of the women of the nation of Israel, like I say again, which is the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, right, Amerindians, Tainos, whatever you want to call them, a lot of those women, they are prostitutes, all right? Whether in the traditional sense that they will stand on the corner and, sell the vagina for a price, or whether it be in the sense of they will be going on dates with multiple men at a time, to get money, to finesse money out of them, sleep with them, get bills paid by them, however they choose to do it, because a lot of people think that the word prostitution exclusively applies to a woman that sells her vagina for a price on the carnal, but it doesn't, right? Apostle the bar always goes into how the word just means to pay to show, right? Or to pay to see, right? Right. Matter of fact, let me see if I can look the word up real quick. Yeah, I can. So right here we have the definition for the word prostitute, right? It says to offer indiscriminate sexual intercourse from Latin past participle of prostituere, etymologically place before or in front, expose publicly, right? So those what you see these women doing, all right? They exposing themselves, right? And like I said, you pay to take a woman on a date, right? And she, invite you on back by her. Maybe y'all don't have sex, but y'all did some things, right? Even that is considered prostitution, even a woman walking around in short clothes, revealing clothing, right? Because where it says to expose, even though it's considered prostitution, right? Because in the ancient time, and what it is supposed to still be, is that women should be covered, right? Women should be properly dressed, all right? So anything outside of that really is prostitution, and you playing the role of an harlot. Right, let me get some more definition. It says, this is from pro, which means before, stature, which means cause to stand, establish, stand to make firm, right? Going down, it says, prostitute, noun, harlot, woman who offers her body indiscriminately, usually for money, right? From Latin, prostituta, prostitute, prostitutas, expose publicly, right? So you see all these women exposing themselves. They're really playing the role of a harlot, which is one of the curses that came upon the children of Israel, specifically the women, right? You see, and the so-called Latino community is filled with it, right? Because some of those tribes was hit really hard with that curse, all right? So if there have been any doubt in your mind that the so-called Latinos aren't a part of the children of Israel, this should erase any doubt from your mind, all right? Because the curses is with them equally as the northern kingdom, as a southern kingdom, Salakia, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi primarily, right? So-called Negroes, right? Anyway, continuing back in the scriptures. Let me read back Amos 7 and verse 17. It says, "Therefore, thus said the Lord, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city," right? Again, which is one of the curses that befall the children of Israel. And a lot of these so-called Latino women, right, that you see out there prostituting, actually got a husband and kids, a man that they're dealing with and they quote-unquote love. But prostituting, they use that as a way to make money, right? Over here in Guyana, we see that a lot. A lot of these so-called Latino men dropping the woman off on the corner to go prostituting, right? This is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 30. It says, "Thus thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her," right? And this primarily happened during slavery, right? This is one of the things that happened a lot in slavery. But to this day, because we're still in our captivity, to this day it's still happening, all right? A lot of men are taking women on dates, and having relationships with women, and other men are sleeping with her, like I just mentioned, we see it all the time, right? In every major city that you go to, right, in this hemisphere, I could speak to, right, based on my knowledge, right? So-called North and South America, Central America, and the Caribbeans, right? They are Latino women selling, the vijay, all right? And again, regardless what the circumstances is, this is one of the curses that fell upon the children of Israel, right? So whether you betroth a woman, all right, whether a man betrothed a woman and she's sleeping with other men for money, or sleeping with other men for a promotion at work, or just for pleasure, whatever the case is, at the end of the day, is a curse, all right? And it's an indicator that, hey, these are the children of Israel, all right? That these things were supposed to happen to, on this huge scale, as a nation, as a whole, right? Because these things aren't exclusive to just the Israelites, right? So-called blacks, Latino, and Native Americans, but you're going to see it more in those communities, all right? Hey, and one of the reasons why that had to happen is because the so-called Israelite men, we deal with Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai like harlots, right? We didn't do what we were supposed to do, you know. So the Most High caused our woman to act in the same manner in which we act in, right? Because the Most High is trying to teach us a lesson, you know. Let me get this. This is Hosea chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, Then said Yahweh unto me, Go yet, love a woman beloved of our friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of the Lord toward the children of Israel, who look to other gods. Right? So this is the Most High speaking to the prophet Hosea, right? To go and love a woman the way he loved the children of Israel, even though we turn to other gods, you know? Because primarily the men of Israel, we're supposed to submit to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, right? And him alone, right? However, when we turn aside to other gods, to serve other gods, you know, like Jesus, like, you know, Allah, and Amon-Ra, whatever else, other made up gods, right? The same way the Most High caused our women to turn to other men, all right? To not submit to us only, like we were supposed to submit to him only, you know? That's why the scriptures say a man who fear Yahweh is going to be saved from a wicked woman. Because if you right with the Most High, for the most part, is going to make your woman right with you. Right? It's a contract, you see. We got to hold our end of the bargain, and the Most High is going to hold his end of the bargain. Right? Right, so continue. Verse 2, it says, So I bought her for me for 15 pieces of silver, and for an omer of barley, and for a half omer of barley. And I said unto her, Thus said Sakia, Thou shalt abide for me many days, thou shalt not play an harlot, thou shalt not be for another man, so will I also be for thee. Right, because this was the contract that we had with the Most High in the wilderness, right? When we got circumcised and we made a pledge that, hey, we're gonna submit to the every will. Yeah, when we said we would submit to every will of Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, and only serve him, right? But then we turn aside to other gods, right? So really and truly, when you betroth a woman, when you wife a woman, is a contract between you and her that she's gonna be for you, all right, and you only, you know, which Hosea is saying here. She's gonna be for you and you only, and not for other men, you know. But like I said, we didn't always continue with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. At some point, we start turning to other gods. So the Most High put the same spirit on our women to show us how we acting. All right. Right. Yep, so with that, hopefully this lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and sanitation to the oathly elect that is pushing this word in the four corners, the highways and byways. Once again, all praises, glory, and honor is due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makakadash. So shalom.